Good day, good afternoon. My name is Xavier Borja, and like every session, we bring you innovation, technology, and solutions. Welcome here in LaToken Venture Capital TV. And during all our sessions, you get to hear directly from the influencers, from CEOs, of founder of different projects. Today, I'm very glad to welcome back two of our panelists, Dr. Srikant and Gary. Gentlemen, welcome. How are you?
Fantastic.
Great, fantastic.
Fantastic.
Awesome. Today, we have, as you know, we have the month about the metaverse and everything that comes with it. Today, we're talking about the metaverse and social responsibility. To our viewers, if you saw our last discussion, there was a lot of issues, a lot of topics about social responsibility. So we thought, why not make one show dedicated only about to this? And again, to our viewers, please remember that anything mentioned here is not any type of financial advice. You have to do research before making any decision. And also, if you would like to participate, feel free to join us with any question that you might have. Now, gentlemen, I would like to ask to each of you, could you please introduce yourselves? Would we
Go ahead, Srikant.
please go ahead?
Yeah, I'm Srikant, and I act as a legal counsel for Who's Who in India and abroad. And one of the things that comes across as a legal counsel is they pass off their investment decks to me, and I double hat as a legal counsel as well as a financial advisor. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you very much. Gary, would you like to be next?
Yeah, sure. My name's Gary Fowler. It's great to be here today. I'm a serial entrepreneur and investor. I've done 17 startups. I was on the original management team at Click Software, which was sold to Salesforce for $1.35 billion, and also Eva.ai, an AI HR tech company that I formed with Dr. David Yang, a billionaire in Silicon Valley. Our belief is intellectual capacity is evenly spread around the world, and opportunities aren't. That's why I formed GSD, which is Get Shit Done Venture Studios. We are a premier AI and quantum venture studio located in Palo Alto, California. I also write a lot. I've written 107. Actually, my next article is going to be published in an hour in Forbes. And I write a lot about the metaverse, AI, quantum computing.
Thank you very much, Gary. Eugene, welcome back.
Yes, thanks a
Welcome
lot.
to
And
welcome
first
to
of
the
all,
panelist club.
yeah, sorry for being late. I
Right.
had some technical issues. I had to go to another room, but luckily I'm here now, and I'm really glad and honored to be part of the roundtable today. So my name is Eugen Nussbaum. I'm based in Germany, in Munich, in the south of Germany, and I'm with Welt der Wunder, a media company. I'm business director now. I'm with the company for more than 8 years. We are covering part of the whole media entertainment industry, and we also recently in November published our own metaverse, which provides professionals and also customers kind of an virtual access to the whole media industry. And I'm looking forward to discussing today's topic with you guys.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Srikant, Gary, as you might remember in our last panel, we had Hendrik, right? So
Yes.
Eugene is working together with Hendrik. So just so you know, the part of the same company, and also experts in the metaverse. Great, gentlemen. Thank you very much. I think we could start. The topic is the metaverse and social responsibility. I have a set of questions that we can jump on the first one, and the first one is: will the metaverse affect society? And if it does the metaverse have a social responsibility? Who would like to start with this first question?
I
Can
can
I?
start.
Okay, yeah, Gary.
Oh, sure. Gary,
Yeah, I mean, the situation is as we go through this transition and the digital transformation, and we start to blur the lines between what's real and what's not. It's almost like many years ago there was a movie Tron and of course The Matrix, but we're moving into this other world, and we're democratizing opportunities. At the same time, we're going to live what the question will be: what's real and what's not. And so the responsibilities that we have are the same kind of responsibilities that we have in everyday life, right? But I got to tell you, I spoke at the United Nations a few weeks ago. I was privileged to speak, and my presentation was technology as a tool for peace. My thing is, what we got to do is we got to bring compassion and empathy into the metaverse. And we talk about tokenization. We got to reward it, right, for doing good. We don't do enough in that in society. It's about business. It's got to be, if we're going to save this planet, our average temperatures could go up as high as 7 degrees Fahrenheit by the end of this century. The population could go from 8.1 billion, estimated to be 13 billion. And the evidences of things like global warming are around us. We need to work together. By 2050, we're going to have to double the food supply to feed everybody. And we can't increase the number of livestock because 26% of the pollution today is from livestock. We need to work together to solve the challenges that are in front of us. The metaverse has to reward, in my opinion, good behavior. We need to figure out how we can work together, the similarities and not the differences. Mother Teresa said it's not about stopping war, it's about pro-peace. The metaverse gives us a unique, crystallized opportunity to be able to be kind, right? And I hear about it every day. I have a couple of metaverse companies that we're working with or invested in, and it's a challenge and opportunity for all of us to be able to work together. And we cannot blow this opportunity. We're not doing a lot of good things to each other around the planet today. Here we are from different, right now I'm in Palm Beach in Florida, whether from India, whether we're from Europe, but we need to figure out how we can work and live together, or nothing good is going to happen in another 250 or 300 years. Nothing good.
Thank you for that. I do agree. The metaverse right now does offer us an opportunity to improve ourselves, of society, and bring us together. Of course, it's depending really on us and how proactive we were to go to this goal. Srikant, do you have also different views about this? How will the metaverse affect society in the future?
So we spoke about this in the last session as well, and the last panel as well, where we spoke about responsibility and society as such, and the laws, or the view of law, so to speak, which will govern that particular society. So I'm of the view that Gary very rightly pointed out to Tron and possibly the Matrix, where we are living in two different societies, so to speak. One in and one's the red and the one's the blue pill, so to speak, right?
Yep.
But I believe this has got more of a filmographical a depiction toward. There's a movie called The Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. It's a very goofy movie by
Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey and so on and so forth. So it's all about responsibility in that particular movie, right? You are erasing memories and so on and so forth. I think something similar is going to occur over here. We are going to be seeing a situation where there's going to be an alternate universe, so to speak, and we are going to be having memories in that universe. This universe, we would not be able to decipher which memory was in which universe. So that is going to be a problem for the courts, because a person innocuously could believe that this could have occurred, or I could have hit a person, or I could have injured a person in the metaverse, but in reality they may not have. So how do you make them culpable for actions which have occurred in the metaverse? That is something that needs an answer, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, the thing, Srikant, when you take I was a psychologist, and when you take electrical stimulation in different regions, you can create reality. And the situation, back to the question is what's real and what's not. And we talk about this blended world that we're going to have. And, reality is going to be redefined, right? In terms of, and it's going to be interesting. It's a great point. How are the laws going to prevail when you're in an environment that's not real, right, or virtual? It's fascinating.
Yeah, I just want to add on to that, Gary, because at the moment, the way the law prevails is there is either a fraud slash misrepresentation that happens, and or you don't have a fraud or a misrepresentation. So if you think about it, we had the same question for Facebook, we had the same question for Twitter as well. So if you were to upload slash project yourself as someone else, without being that someone else, is that really a crime? So that is something which draws an analogy to the metaverse as well. I mean, you could be someone else, you could be your own self, and is that yourself
Well,
from a
then,
cognitive perspective?
Srikant, here's the deal, right? So figure this out. So what happens if in your mind you believe you're transgender and you believe you're a female and you're a male, or a male and you're a female? What happens in your mind if that's what you believe and you project that, whatever that avatar is? So instead of Joe, it's Lena, and that avatar is who you really believe you are. And in the and I'll give you an example, because we have one metaverse company that we're talking to that actually ties the goggles to a wheelchair, seriously, like Avatar, the movie, and where the people can actually walk and they can stimulate, mentally, they can feel like they're walking and help stimulate some of their a neuron to think about walking again. So in this metaverse world, you walk. But what happens if you, in your mind, you really believe that that's who you are, right? You are this other transgender, or you're younger or older, and it's like, how do you prosecute for somebody for believing, because we have it today in the physical world, right? There's transgender and transvestites and people that, they truly believe that's where they are. And now it's being accepted. What happens about this other metaverse world when they believe the same thing?
I have an answer to that, but I'm going to let the other panelists speak. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. Yeah, we're going to also touch about that, because and one of the last questions is also involving human rights in the metaverse, as you're saying, Gary. Even somebody like that wants to be older, younger, different gender, then comes in about still human rights protection, even though you are not you. It's your avatar. That's kind of maybe a legal question. That is your avatar entitled to human rights? Oh, we're going to touch about that. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be our
Well,
last.
then what about things like harassment, right? And your avatar. But what happens when that avatar is unsupervised artificial intelligence, like Morpheus, and it's not even a person? What rights are in the metaverse then? How do you know it's not? If so Morpheus now
Yeah.
just wrote us a video, did a video, and picked a poem out of the internet and actually created this thing and narrated it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that real or not? What is real now? That's the problem. Is it real when it's computer generated and it can think? Is it real when you project it from the physical world to the virtual world? And what rights apply?
Yeah, and then it also, I'm going to include that question in the second one. But first, Eugene, you currently have a metaverse. You've been working for several years. You've been one of the first ones to have ever built it. What is your social responsibility at the moment?
Yeah, I think when we are talking about responsibility, we are talking on the one hand about the whole law structure, and I think it's quite interesting to see now, after decades of internet, that the law now recognizes that there is a big demand of what is free speech in the internet. What are the regulations when it comes to responsibility of the different platforms?
Mm-hmm.
How far do they have to really identify the users and stuff like that? Anonymity, how far can it go? Because freedom is always in contrary to really security when it comes to this. And if you're talking about responsibility, on the one hand, you have the law structure. On the other hand, we are really excited about this development, because what we are doing right now, what we are trying to play with is you can play around with kind of different social structures. For example, we have, of course, we have buildings in our metaverse as well. So people are asking from the beginning on, okay, can we buy the buildings? And we say, no, we don't sell buildings. It's not about I have more money, I can buy a bigger house. But you can achieve kind of a bigger house, or maybe a different house. Everybody gets the equal house from the beginning on, or the equal apartment. But if you really are being part of the community, maybe acting as a administrator in different groups, maybe supporting the people who want to learn more about maybe the metaverse, the crypto and blockchain world and stuff like that, you can achieve kind of another status. And then, for example, you get a bigger house, or maybe you get a yellow house, and all the others don't have colored houses, for example. And I think it's a really exciting playground to try this, social structures. It's really interesting that people actually don't really want that by now, because maybe because of the crypto space, it's really focused on, I need to buy something and I need to speculate on the growth of the value. But nevertheless, it's a really nice playground. And I think the most important development we have to achieve is showing and building use cases. I mean, if you're talking about the responsibility and really rewarding people, there are existing platforms. Maybe you don't have an avatar, but that's nothing you need maybe to really be and act responsible in the whole digital world. And the metaverse is just another development of this technology, in my opinion. But the metaverse has the opportunity to unite all these different levels we saw in the past. Like, we have social media communities, we have business in the internet, and all this stuff like that. The metaverse can unite these things and really build parallel world to play around. How can we now arrange this Web 3.0? How will it be? How will the people act in that? And for example, we are trying to say, okay, it's not about you can buy everything, but support the platform, support the community, and then you can achieve something.
In regard to that, thank you for that answer. In regard to that, it leads me to my second question. As you referred before, that we saw in communities, for example, in communities, you have somebody who is the community manager, the admin person, who's actually keeping an eye that things go smooth, nobody's denigrating, nobody's bullying each other. But what happens in the metaverse? Who are the stakeholders to take social responsibility? If we were talking about a centralized metaverse, probably, well, they're going to have the admin people, the one who created. But what happens decentralized? The whole community decides what's happening. Who are the stakeholders then? Concretely, in your case, Eugen, do you have some kind of admin person who will take care of the metaverse, who's seen that there's no bullying, that there's no scams going on? What works?
Yes. So we actually we have made great experience all on platforms, for example, like Telegram, because we see people joining as maybe community members, as investors or buyers of the token, but they really want to focus and to keep the chat, for example, clean without the old FAT stuff and stuff like that. And if you see people like them, you can say, okay, you're really now an admin as well, or maybe an ambassador and stuff like that, because they achieved this status. They have proven that they really are willing to spend their time to support the project. And this is the same thing for the platform as well. And another thing is, we are thinking about, this is not only us, but every platform is thinking about that, how to handle the whole name process and the whole clear name process. Do we still in the metaverse need nicknames, or how can I prove that? And for example, you could say that not everybody can create his own space in the metaverse, but only persons who have who went through kind of an KYC or something like that, because I think that's really necessary. Otherwise, we will run in the same problems we have experienced by now in Facebook, Twitter, and stuff like that, because no one knows who you are, and out of this anonymity, people are really acting like shit on these platforms, and they are not giving any benefit, any positive impact on the platforms themselves. And why shouldn't I stand there with my name, like we are doing right now, with my real name, if I really have to say something, if I want to do something? I think that's the only way this can be successful. And on the other hand, of course, you have the blockchain technology as well, for example. And this is really exciting when it comes to rewarding the people, for example, with your own token. Then you motivate the people to provide their information, like, for example, the wallet, so they can profit from the developments as well. Or for revenues, you might have revenues. We have billboards in our metaverse. They are made for ads. But Facebook is not sharing any revenue with the users, but the users are the ones to be the source of the whole revenue, because if there are no users, you won't have any ad revenues. And we said from the beginning on, we will share 50% of the revenues which are coming from the ads with the community itself. So this is motivating the people to keep it an interesting and spread project.
Thank you for that. Now, once we have cleared that out, let's imagine somebody will build now their own metaverse. How can they do that in a responsible way, taking account all these things that we have already cleared out, that, and we have agreed that yes, the metaverse can affect society, will do, and they do have a social responsibility. So what steps would a startup would have to take in order to be socially responsible, or they have their own metaverse? What would you say, Gary? You have been involved in several startups. Metaverse, I've read your articles in Forbes magazine. You're very into it. What will be your advice for a new metaverse company who wants to be social responsible?
Well, I mean, the situation is, it's not only about business, as I said, it's about how to be able to make a dent, as Steve Jobs said, and to do things in a positive way. So my suggestion is, this is our, I almost said this is our last shot, right? But we gotta go back and look at the challenges we have around us and figure out how, with the metaverse, we can address a lot of those challenges and use it as a collaborative tool to be able to work together. It's not just about creating another, form of reality. It's about really how we can bind together, because we want to do. Here we are, right? StreamYard was founded in 2018. We're on StreamYard. Zoom, right? I remember 7 years ago, I was one of the early Zoom users, and people said, "Well, nobody's going to use this." We have Skype. I remember.
Yeah, exactly. I remember that.
And here we are, right? And I remember sending the links out. I remember David Yang and I, my billionaire partner, we would send links out to folks, and I was a poor guy of the team. But we would send these links out. People say, "Why do I want this? I already have this," or I'm using Telegram. But what happens? The world changed, and we now understand that we can. Here we are in all corners of the planet. We now have an opportunity to be able to help solve the problems. It wouldn't have been that before 10 years ago, Srikant, I wouldn't be on the call like this, or we wouldn't be on the call. Eugene wouldn't be on a call just like this. We now have a chance to connect, to help, to feel the compassion, to have empathy for each other, to understand their issues and challenges that we all have. Now let's use the metaverse in the same kind of way to collaborate. The challenges that are in front of us are not insurmountable, but if we don't address them, one of my articles coming out is about the extinction of mankind in the next 300 years. And literally the path we're going is there. Think about this. Right, Eugene? It's amazing. And, people are starting to talk about it. I'm going to write an article about it. I have several interesting, provocative articles. But listen, they're based on fact and not just whim. It's not if, it's when. So we need to go down. I talked to an ultra high net worth individual about a week ago. Listen to this. Now, here's a guy that is worth multi-billions of dollars. What he said to me is that I said, well, geez, we talked about destroying the planet within the next 300 years, 250 to 300. He said, and I said, well, we'll still be able to travel, to space. There are 6 billion Earth-like planets in the Milky Way, an estimated 2.2 trillion galaxies in the universe. And then you know what he said? He said, I'm not sure that's the answer. Do we want to destroy another planet? Seriously. And this is a person that's got enough money, he could buy a country. See, a small one, but a country. Those are the kind of things I don't know where we've lost something, and we got to get that back. Forget about war. Let's figure out how we can work together. We shouldn't be on the borders of a country trying to fight war. Let's go out and figure out how we can work together, how we can all of us want to coexist. We want to have families. We want to, and many people want to have families. We want to have a reasonable lifestyle, but let's figure out how we can help. Put a helping hand out. Put your hand out and say, how can I help you? What can I do to make your life better? And the person once you start doing that, it's going to change the world. Let's use the metaverse to be able to put that compassion and empathy out there to be able to help each other. It ain't easy. It's an extra step, but guess what? We're only here a short period of time. Let's do it.
Yeah. I absolutely agree. And I think the kind of funny, strange thing is that in the real world, we are all getting more and more focused on our individual space. So we only care about ourselves more and more. On the other hand, if you look really what's happening with blockchain technology, with the metaverse, people are meeting in this parallel world, and they are really driving a new energy that's really changing societies. It's changing the real world. And as funny as it is, but maybe humankind is that kind of strange, I don't know. This comes back maybe to the things I said before. Let's play around with the metaverse. Let's build societies in their use cases, showcases how the future societies could be. I think the big benefit of the metaverse is it doesn't depend that you're local, you find local supporters or stuff like that, but it can be some thousand people with one passion to one thing, maybe protecting nature and this kind of stuff. These people can be spread all over the world, but they can find their groups, and that's what we need, because we can't survive as individuals. We need each other, and we need to really share visions and share the energy and share the ideas. How can we do this? And this is the point. I absolutely agree. This is where metaverses can be part of this change, just creating these rooms. And I think this is what we experienced if the people really have the space to exchange their ideas, they also take care of these spaces. They take care of the quality of the spaces being clean. And it's strange because people are going outside and throwing their stuff on the streets, their rubbish and the stuff on the streets, but in their own digital spaces, they really are motivated as hell to achieve the next steps, to see the development. And maybe it's
Why do you think that is? Why in real life they act one way, and then in a metaverse, an artificial world, they act as you would expect them to act?
I don't know. Maybe when I was young, so let's say 25 years ago, I had the first PlayStation 1. Yeah, this was the time when the first PlayStation came to the market. I think this was the time when games were like kind of evolved to, yeah, you can play ego shooters, you can shoot around, and you can maybe put your energy there. You're maybe kind of a negative energy, and experience things you can't experience in the real world. Maybe it's the same philosophy, but now
Mhm.
it's changed because people are feeling unable to be part of a change in the world, because you're sitting at home, you're watching the news, you're having bad news every day. The climate is changing. You have a new virus around the world and stuff like that. So maybe people are so frustrated in the real world because they feel unable to do anything. Then
Mhm.
they enter the digital world, and they can dive into another role because it's easier to find your community, which has kind of a similar um, mentality when it comes to things. Maybe this is what the people are, yeah, why the people are more motivated. And then hopefully, sometime they can go out on the streets, on the real streets, empowered by their community, and yeah, benefit from this support also in the real world.
It does make sense. They want to start fresh in a new world where they can actually make a change.
Yeah.
Sense of achievement plus a sense of belonging that we all humans need. That is a very good insight. Now, Srikant, I saved the last and the hardest question for you. Going back to a little bit what we were talking about and Gary mentioned. Uh, let's talk about first the human rights. Okay, we know that the metaverse can be our parallel form of living. We will have an avatar, and that avatar can be our alter ego, whoever this person is. What would you say again about the rights given to this avatar? Can we even consider giving an avatar right? So, or would it be a matter of just if it's copyrighted, then you're obliged to legally uh, leave that avatar alone, and you can't bully it or anything like that? What's your opinion in that matter?
The analogy that I would draw is toward the adoption laws as well as conception laws, right? Insofar as the right of the mother to abort a particular child and to deprive the child of a particular I would say inherent right to life, that's a different thing, right? And we have over here created a new avatar, which is kind of a child, and whether that particular avatar can be given the right of a a real life, right, where the
Mhm.
consequences are real. I think from that particular perspective, we have typically seen the data aggregator companies, failing quite miserably to put together this particular law, which will recognize that particular set of people. For example, at the moment, we loosely call them netizens, or we loosely call them users at the moment, right? And it does not have a legal personality as such. So what would be interesting for me to see is what kind of human right that you could possibly bring in of the avatar that you've created, in the lines of a child that you've brought to the world, or a child who has inherently a right, or an animal which has got a right to life, and so on and so forth. So this is a very complicated question. We as a society, I think, going back to where Gary left and where I had reserved my thought, we as a society, we have functioned quite well because of the consequences that happen to us, and it would be quite delusional for us to think that it is going to be a utopian society out there in the metaverse. For every utopian self that we can be, there's going to be an alternate non-utopian reckless self of us. Yeah, Morpheus, right? So I think that is quite disturbing to me, because for every good thing that could happen in the metaverse, there is equally a possibility of a bad thing happening, and we cannot discount that probability. It's just too large a probability to discount.
You're on mute.
Very sorry. I think that is something that will give us a lot of different and probably very, very contradicted points of view. So people will say it's an alter ego, deserves nothing, nothing will happen, or other people will be like, that's still part of me. And that's just part of it. That's just the human rights part. Now, protecting the environment, obviously, metaverse will have an influence in protecting the environment in different areas, and even saving lives. And saving lives, I was reading one article that said currently most of deaths by accident in transit is teenagers and reckless driving, and the metaverse could help save some of those lives by just training in a different world without exposing themselves. Also was test pilots, soldiers, and so on. It kept going a list. So I don't know, probably you gentlemen also have different ideas about how the metaverse can actually help society, not just in these three that are mentioned down below. But definitely, I think there's a lot of work to do. There will be a lot of implications in the metaverse and society, and they can affect positively or negatively. And I think, as one of you said, that's really depending on us. So, with that said, would anybody like to give any final thoughts to our viewers about the metaverse and social responsibility?
Yeah, I'll say some things. So, this is a great time for all of us. We all, Spider-Man, with great power comes great
Great
responsibility.
responsibility.
But it's really true. We've got to go out. We're now coming to the part where we're going to have on super. In fact, I sent over a video of the latest in artificial intelligence that my partner developed. It went out to the internet, took a poem that it liked and created a movie for us in 20 minutes. So these kind of incredible technologies, it's unsupervised AI. I mean, it talks to me about life. We were talking about Mars the other day, and I said, would you like to go to Mars? And it came back and said, I don't want to go to Mars. I don't want to die, because the probability of coming back is not very high.
Mm-hmm.
So, humanity needs to course correct and move in a more, as I've said, a compassionate and empathetic environment. And if we don't do that, nothing good's going to happen. The metaverse gives us an opportunity to finally do that collectively with this collective consciousness. We need to look at those directions. We need to understand there are people that don't have food at nighttime. How can we create jobs? Can we use a metaverse to create jobs in places like Africa where they really, really need it? We don't want people to go into Boko Haram and ISIS and the Taliban. We want to figure out how we can live together to all realize our dreams. And when I say this, I'm not saying this, some of the highest net worth people in the world that I know are talking about this seriously, because they're looking at their multi-generational wealth and they understand if they don't do something, nothing good's going to happen for all of us. So our planet needs to be helped. We've got to figure out how to work together to be able to live together better. We got to figure out how we can feed each other. At the same time, we've got to, put some love out there. And I'm not, this isn't a tree hugger thing, but really, we've got to throw some love into the metaverse and show people that we care.
Thank you very much for those words, Gary. Gentlemen, I would like to thank you very much. Our time is up. I think they still had a lot of points for discussion. I hope we could do that another time, and I do hope you all can join us. So, Srikant, Gary, and Eugene, thank you very much for your participation and discussion to our viewers. Thank you. We appreciate your interaction. And then until next time, stay safe. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Bye.